As we look at the history of Williamston, you should probably know that it went by at least 3 other names before it was dubbed Williamston. In the early days, as the white men were showing up in mid-Michigan, the general area was referred to as Cedar, named after the river, which was later changed to the Red Cedar River so as to not confuse people with another Cedar River in the state. It was likely Cedar when the Putnam brothers first showed up in 1834 and planted their oats on the north bank of the river, and then skedaddled when the locals, namely Chief Okamis's band of indigenous people, apparently scared them off. When the 3 Williams brothers, Oswald, Horace, and James, arrived 5 years later in 1839, they apparently dubbed the location Brutus. An 1840 letter from James Williams, written to his folks back home in upstate New York, used the Brutus name. And Brutus was a swampy area, just as it is sometimes today, too. By 1842, Williamstown was the name, as Cedar and Brutus were now long lost to history, but it had to battle a competing name, Phelpstown, which was a vast region of spread-out settlements that included sections of southern Locke Township, along with Leroy, Wheatfield, and Williamstown townships. That name, too, died out as David Phelps eventually moved from the area. In 1845, this original town was filed with the county courthouse by the Williams family, and it notes the community as Williamston in Williamstown Township. Well, Oswald dies and Horace moves to Iowa, and James remains the patriarch of the community. Here are photos of James, who was also referred to for a time as Miles, and Julia Carr, his neighbor, who eventually became his much younger wife. The W in Williamstown was dropped along the way, but just when? A newspaper death notice in the late 1850s noted the town as Williamston without the W. This 1859 map labels the hamlet as Williamston, no W. The train came through in 1871, and the hamlet became a village that same year and was called Williamston. This 1874 map shows Williamston, no W. One source said the W was dropped in 1871, and another source said 1884, but those don't match the information of the maps. The 1895 map, no W in the town either. But we do have a letter in 1884 that the Williamstown post office postmarked as Williamstown with the W. And I am unaware of what the indigenous people called this region before the settlers showed up and christened it Cedar, then Brutus, then Phelpstown, then Williamston, with or without the extra W. So there you have it, the history of Williamston's many names. Until next time, this is Mitch Lutzke. See you around.